Hey guys, David here. As I'm growing this channel, I really wanted to take the time to make sure you guys knew a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing here teaching you how to code. So let's go back in time, back to when I was 8 years old. I was in second grade. I first started using Scratch, which I don't know if you guys have ever used that. It was made by MIT, and it's a software you can use to code using little blocks that you drag together like a puzzle almost. And you can make little animations and stories and games, and there's so much you can do because it really is like a programming language. It's just made with blocks to make it easier for kids to use. So that's where I first got exposed to coding, and I didn't even know what it was then. I was just like, oh, I like dragging blocks together and making the little characters move around the screen, and I liked drawing, so I would draw my own characters, and they would move around the screen. I'd create all these stories, and it was all a mess coding-wise. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just dragging things together, but I learned a lot from doing it. And that's like the same with any language. You know how much easier it is to learn a language when you're just using it because like you were growing up bilingual or something versus when you just go to middle school or high school and start learning a language and they give you worksheets and blah blah blah. So like I kind of had that better experience of coding than a lot of people because I was just playing around with it. And then when I was in middle school, I got a Raspberry Pi computer, which are these like little credit card sized computers that are really good for like DIY projects in the house. You can connect them up to sensors or a monitor or a microphone or whatever, all kinds of stuff, cameras. So I got really into those. I was just kind of messing around, and that's how I kind of learned about terminal and like Linux commands and Unix commands from that. And I wasn't like reading a textbook like, oh, let me learn Linux commands. I was more like, oh, I want to connect this camera to my Raspberry Pi and take pictures and do all kinds of stuff. So I learned there, and then I started to learn Python on the Raspberry Pi, and then I got into doing Python just on the regular computer, and I made like a simple thank you card creator and stuff. And that was all in middle school, just for fun. And then in high school was the first time I ever actually had formal CS class. And it was like, it changed so much about my passion for computer science. Like I was already into it, but learning Java in that class, the teacher was amazing. And I learned so much more about just the proper like method of coding. And like I learned about object-oriented programming, which I had never understood or ever tried to understand before. So it really opened me up to just a whole new opportunities in CS, and it decided for me that I really wanted to study CS in college, and I also wanted to study film in college. And if you're watching this, you're like, oh yeah, that checks out because I'm doing YouTube about computer science. So yeah, so I'm continuing to pursue all my interests. But anyway, so in college, I double majored in CS and film, and I learned a lot more about theory of CS, like data structures, algorithms. I did math classes, so like linear algebra, probability, stuff like that, which actually it comes in really handy in further on education CS. So highly recommend if you are going to college soon or you're in college or whatever, do take math classes, even if you're like, oh, I don't like math, because you're going to like it a lot less if you don't understand it later on. So just learn it if you can, if you have the time, because it's essential, I think, if you're going to continue in CS. And so, yes, I did all that through college. I did, machine learning, sorry, not machine learning, natural language processing, intro to AI, classes like that. And then now I'm in a grad program, 2-year grad program in computer science. I've kind of been focusing more on AI now than I was originally intending, and I think that's probably for the best. Like, it wasn't really my intention going in, because if you see my other videos, I'm not a huge, like, I love AI, AI is the best. I kind of have altering feelings about it. Like I think in medical fields or things like that, I'm like, yes, AI, of course. If you can detect cancer better than me, you should go detect cancer. But in fields like creativity and like acting or drawing or things like that, I get kind of sad because I'm like, oh, those are things that are really creative and I enjoy doing them personally, and it'd be sad to see that go away to AI. But that said, it's here regardless of how I feel about it, so I am kind of focusing more on learning about that stuff, especially because I'm interested in going into education of computer science, so learning about it, it's a no-brainer. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm doing a machine learning class this semester, an AI planning class, and computer vision. And I'm also trying to teach you guys some stuff. So I'm excited for what's to come on this channel. If you guys have questions about like me or about the channel or anything, please just keep commenting. I love all the comments. But yeah, keep it coming, and I'm excited to see where this journey takes us. All right.